You're my new publicist. I don't know if you know this, but you're my new publicist. That was the best introduction I think I've ever had. And she's funnier than me, which is good for her, unfortunate for me. No, holy cow, thank you all for coming out. This is, Goldie and I were talking before this over email. And, I think we always, creative types, brace ourselves. Like, okay, there might only be 2 or 3 people. And 2 of them are us, so let's just be ready for that. So this is pretty delightful. Thank you all for coming out. And yeah, the more I talk, the further down in your esteem I'm going to go after you introduce me. So let's just jump into to a bit of reading. These are a couple from Desert Apocrypha that, considering what we've all been dealing with weather-wise the last couple of weeks when the snow's melted. These came from a different season, but the same ideas, I felt like. So I was like, okay, we can relate to this. The poems in this book are in suites of 5 poems, and then always a 6th one that didn't fit the apocryphal ones. So this one was from a suite called 5 Rains. And it's called Underwater. I came home from yours to a landscape altered, the way rerouted. All this silty mud will harden like vital organs leathered in the sun. Speakers amplify my pulse. The heart lives underwater. Thunder in a swimming pool. Bees are restless in the hives. This year will be good for wildflowers. Whatever didn't wash away to the El Rito, to the Chama, to the Rio Grande, to drown in what's left of the Butte, or end up entombed under leather, has one hell of a start. Yeah, it's pretty wild to me what water can do to literally change the landscape around here. The big rains can knock down cliff faces and create new gullies, but even just the snow and then the relatively slow melt or fast melt and seeing what mud does. It's amazing to me how nothing is static, everything's going to change. But then there's the flip side, as we all know, of water. So this is from the same suite, and it's called Prayers. Talk is cheap, and the rain barrels run dry down to the spigots. Sand holds very little here, grudges or memories or last month's monsoons. We cannot be pure organic atheists when we dare the clouds to back up their bluster. Prove your might greater than lightning and thunder and winds muscling through the window crack to draw down the blankets. What have you done for us lately, lording those storms plumped to bursting like fresh-packed wineskins over our heads? Let them flow if you're so wise. Drink and let the excess drip off your chins as gluttonous creeks run high from the mountains. Do more than spit on our upturned cheeks. Do more than dirty our cars, you cowards, you bastards. Who are you to decide who drinks and who withers? You could give freely what the earth charges dearly. The rain barrels run dry down below the spigots, and we do not all boast taproots that run so deep. Yeah, I was born an old man yelling at clouds. It came out. Yeah, this book's all poems. It came after that one. And this was such an interesting book for me. I was on a self-imposed deadline and the poems weren't coming and they weren't coming and they weren't coming. And then I had this encounter with an owl on the side of I-25 in Santa Fe. And then it was like they just couldn't stop coming, and this owl permeated everything. Like this specific owl and the figure of owl and all the things that owls mean to us, of omens and death. And And it was like, so there's an owl in all these poems. Even if the owl doesn't literally appear, there's this sense of being watched, of that feeling I get when I encounter owls that was just pervading my life until the last poem got written, and then it was like I stopped hearing them. They weren't even hooting at night anymore, and it was pretty surreal. So I wanted to read a selection from that time, and some of you are lucky enough to know the character of the puppy dog who shows up in some of these too. He's the puppy dog is about 82 pounds, and yeah, has more. I don't think I need to say much more than that. So love him to pieces, and man, oh man, he's got a lot going for him. The puppy dog chased a turkey vulture this morning, disturbed its heraldic ritual to get the blood pumping, pursued it to 2 different cliff tops, boom, boom, overlooking the dry cobbled creek. He gave up, came back, cliff not too high, but the bird too boring, refusing play. You're too fresh, the vulture said, written in air, plain as hieroglyphs. Too fresh for me, but I am patient, have never starved yet. I tell him not to mess with the vultures and the crows. I'm like, the ravens remember faces, and he doesn't care. Yeah, this one has a very different character. And I know it's a complicated character around here, but she's, you can't deny her. And this is how she showed up in the midst of all this for me. Georgia had a bomb shelter. She listened to her friends in Los Alamos, plucked her model from the Sears Roebuck catalog, had it installed at her home on the hill. It's falling apart now. Smells like a dead raccoon, and something more than that. Something more. This woman thought she could survive nuclear war indoors when all the evidence suggests she would have withered up, preferred offering her bones to the radioactive sky to bleach, flake inside of the mountain God gave her, so someone else could pluck her skull. Preferred that to living out her air supply with tins of dog biscuits. Or maybe that's just me. You have all the people I can see bunkering down for nuclear winter. What I know of her, she wouldn't have been one of them. I hope I wouldn't be either. This one, I don't know, this one gets no introduction. Burn the twigs, crack branches to ash, the heat of turning something to nothing. I think I should like to be eaten. Shake, 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 moving things along. I want the best, even if that's simply becoming a stack of parts to sharpen beaks and teeth on. Could I ask more for my own bones in the end, once beyond the pain of fearing the end? Fire and the alchemy of being eaten, the feat of turning into nothing, is something. I'm going to do one more from this book, which I am, for all the things Lynette made me sound much better at than I am. One of them she didn't touch on is visual arts, because I am so not a visual artist. But part of this was that these illustrations came to me. And so here's like a little taste of one. And this poem, I'm not really giving anything away, it's right there at the start of the poem, is the wood grain in my cabinets in my kitchen. in the midst of all this, I said there was owls everywhere, like owls started staring at me from the wood grain. and so this is, artist's interpretation of one. This can't be happenstance. Some chance of knots and sheets of wood. The eyes too intense. The tufts unmistakable. The bodies of these owls staring me down from the wood grain in my cabinets, too alert. Feathers ruffled with, dare I call it, attitude? Guidebooks fail to show me species, but the owlishness defies taxonomy. They are, just as is the barn owl in the arroyo, the further one whose walls the puppy dog revels in scaling like a muscly wolf spider. The same arroyo, where an evening primrose, rooted in a clump of dirt the size of an engine block, tumbled from the top, has bloomed every day this week. One decadent flower, burning a month's ration of water in white.
Mm-hmm.
Where one morning I was thinking about owls and how I was too busy to write them letters, something cracked a juniper twig right over my head, and my ancient instincts sputtered, and that owl swooped deservedly brash to the other side. If joy is the unifier of life, and I cannot doubt that it is, the cabinet owls are stern, only in their insistence that I finish the dishes and get out there already.